Welcome back to the Relationships Made Simple podcast for men with me, Bryce Bauer. Today, I'm going to be talking about the most cited reason for divorce. The National Institute of Health did a large study on divorced couples, and in 75% of cases, one or both people cited lack of commitment as the reason for divorce. And infidelity was a close second at I think 60%. And communication issues were somewhere around 50%. And of course, sometimes there were multiple reasons, but just take that in. What does that say about us as a society where 45% of married couples get divorced? I'm guessing close to 0% thought they would get divorced, or else why would you get married? This is a huge, huge issue. Think about if you were making some kind of product and it was failing almost half the time. And there was one main reason why it was failing, and you didn't fix it, or you didn't know how to fix it. Your business would probably go under. This isn't even close to good odds. What is this thing that so many couples are experiencing? And I don't think it's just divorced couples. I think married couples, in my experience, also deal with a lack of commitment in the relationship. And the way I see it, there are two ways to look at this. There's the emotional commitment and then the logical action oriented commitment. The emotional is more of a felt sense. It's intuitive. It's somatic. Do you feel a sense of security in your relationship that this person is in it with you and for you? Even if things get hard, they're not going anywhere. They're not exploring other options with other people. They're not designing their life in a way that they can exit easily. Maybe they even use their words to communicate their commitment to you. That's the emotional side. On the logical or physical side, it's what are you actually doing to contribute to the relationship, to your own learning, to your own growth? What are you investing into the relational space? And I think men especially can get confused here because you might say, well, hey, I go to work and that brings in money so that we can do things as a family or as a couple. And that's me investing in the relationship. And I know you could make that case, but if you weren't in a relationship, you'd still be doing the same thing. You'd still be going to work. So I think you want to look at uncoupling this idea that you bringing in money is actually serving the relationship. It might serve your abilities to do things, but from a relational perspective, it might not have much impact on having your partner feel safe with you as a committed partner. I work with a lot of men who make good money, more than they need to get by and to provide their family with whatever they're wanting to do or needing. And their partners still don't feel their commitment. So there has to be more to it. Obviously, money and resources have some value, but in the relational space, the things that hold a lot more value are time and attention towards yourself, towards your partner, and towards what you're creating in your relationship. And to put this in like a business perspective, imagine that you are an employee and you do all the things necessary to bring in sales or money to the company, but you really don't give a shit whether or not it succeeds. And so you come in, do your 8 hours, and maybe even do a really good job. It's really more self-serving. You're not invested in the growth of the company. You don't really care what other people are doing. And maybe that's all that's really expected of you in the business. But you can think about a marriage as both of you being the CEO of a company. If one partner is over there just doing their own thing and not checking in with the other and asking them, hey, is this working for you, what I'm doing? What do you need from me? Is there any way I can help you out? Here's what I need from you. Let's sit down and continue to co-create this vision of what we want. It's going to be really hard to scale this company. And for some guys, I notice it can be frustrating to not be seen and all the effort they're doing outside of the home, which is important. And I think you do want to be seen in that, but it's often not the thing that partners are complaining about when they talk about commitment. They want to see you learning and developing yourself so that you can bring more emotionally to the relationship. They want to see that you're learning about relationships so that you can make yours better and communicate better. They want to have an informed, intelligent conversation about what you two are doing. And marriage isn't just something that you'll figure out one day. New things happen, new situations, unexpected events. As you get older, things change, or kids grow up, parenting changes. There's a quote from Esther Perel that I really like, which goes, "You will have 2 or 3 marriages throughout the course of your life, and sometimes they're with the same person." And I see that over and over again. Life calls us to step up, to evolve, to reach for new layers of relational development as a couple. A lot of guys get to a point where it's pretty good and they just put on cruise control. And they're like, if we could just do the same thing for the next 20 years and then retire, and then we'll have a good time. And that's the plan. That plan will not work because we are creatures that want to evolve and learn and experience things we have not experienced. It's the way that our brains are wired. Think about it. Even if you had a really good day, you're on vacation or something, you're in Mexico, sitting on the beach, that might be good. But would you want to live that day over and over for the rest of your life? No, you'd get bored. You'd want more challenge. You would feel stagnant. And so trying to live the same day over and over in your relationship works the same way. And a lot of guys just have more tolerance for that because they can compartmentalize their emotions and just put their head down and kind of do the same thing over and over. And that's why I think women tend to wake up sooner and be like, wait, what are we doing here? Where are we going? How are we improving our relationship? And men can feel confused by this. But instead of making your partner the problem that they want more, what I'd invite you to do is to look at this as a challenge, as an invitation to experience more of yourself, more of life, more of your partner. Growth is really what helps us feel alive. And that requires conflict and challenge and support. It's these opposing energies that really give us a sense of fulfillment. Think about your most vivid memories, like what you're most proud of. My guess is that there was something that was really challenging that you had to step up and face. Maybe you did something you didn't think you could do, or you faced a lot of pain and you made it through that experience and came out the other side and you learned a lot and you grew a lot. Those are the moments that we remember the most. That is why they're impactful. And this journey of marriage, going through life with one other individual and learning how to have each other's backs provides constant opportunities for that to happen. Your closest relationships are the catalyst for you to wake up more and more. And I know I've already started talking about the emotional side. It's hard to uncouple these. There can be a really profound clicking in place when you feel like your partner is really choosing you and is going to be there for you through thick and thin, and you feel the same way about them. And it's easier to feel that at the beginning of a relationship because often you're just seeing the light side of somebody and not the dark. It's kind of easier to like them. It's easier to produce those loving chemicals in the brain. But that's not real love, right? Real love is loving a person for all of their parts. It doesn't mean you have to like all of their parts, but you can appreciate them. You can appreciate their struggle, you can appreciate their flaws, and continually work on the parts of yourself that have a hard time accepting them. Because we are constantly mirroring back to each other parts of ourselves that we've disowned or don't like or really want to change. And when we challenge our partners, we're also challenging ourselves. We have to be able to look in the mirror too. And I can't think of any other relationship that is this powerful. I mean, you have your parents that more than likely will pass away before you. If there's one person that you're going to give your all to and you expect their all in return, it's the person you're married to. It's your spouse. It's your best friend. It's your partner. And so I'm not surprised that commitment is the most cited issue in divorce because it takes a lot of courage, a lot of trust, a lot of education, and a lot of work to create that feeling. There are always going to be a long list of reasons why leaving your partner would be easier, at least in the short term. Some people do that, they just kind of go in and out of relationships, maybe their whole life. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the downside is they will not get to experience what it's like to be in a long-term partnership and all the benefits that come with that. And I also just want to flag that I don't think that all marriages should go for a lifetime. They're really amazing people, really informed people, people that have put in the work that still separate, but their experience is going to be very different than the people that didn't really know what work to put in or didn't put in the work and just figure it was the other person not really being committed and just moving on. And unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people even know the real reasons why they get divorced because I work with a lot of couples that don't even really know why they're still married. We don't have great systems or rituals in place as a society to check in about that. A lot of times people say the same exact thing, this script at their wedding, and it's great, but they don't really know what that takes or what that means. And you just do it once. You just do it once when you're in your 20s or something. And then 20 years later, you might not even remember what you said. You haven't recommitted to anything. You haven't renegotiated. You haven't sat down and envisioned where we want to be in the next year, 5 years, 10 years. Most people I talk to are not thinking that way. It really was the till death do us part and sickness and in health. And hopefully that will carry us through our life. And I don't think it will. It's just not enough. And I do feel a lot of compassion for couples, especially when they have busy lives and they're raising kids. And there just might not feel like there's enough time in the day to get around to talking about the relationship. It's just survival. Can we just get through the next 20 years and then we can talk about us? But hopefully, I'm shining a light on this thing that may be happening in your relationship because we're talking about millions and millions of people that are having this experience, and it can really, really suck. I've had a couple of long-term relationships prior to Jenny, one partner that I was living with, and I remember the moment that things changed and I realized that this relationship wasn't going to work out. And everything in my life started to orient around this fear. What do I do next? Who am I? What do I really want? Maybe I'm making the wrong decision. And I lived with that for a few months in my own home. And some people live with that for years with a lot more at stake. We didn't have kids. We didn't have a mortgage. We didn't have that many shared long-term friendships. We were not tied in financially. So I'm just imagining what that's like for some of the couples that I work with. I'm sure it's 10 times harder. So if you're in this position where you're not feeling the commitment, I highly encourage you to check in with your partner and to listen to what they have to say. It's very possible that the thing you think they want isn't actually that important to them and that you're missing the thing that really matters. If they're saying, I want more connection, more vulnerability, more time, more attention, and you're saying, well, I'm giving you money and I'm giving you vacations, or I'm cooking dinner, or I can watch the kids while you go out and do your own thing. You can see where the miss is, right? And by the same token, if you're not stepping up and asking for what you need, it's going to be hard for them to feel you. You both have to put your feelings and needs on the table to be able to assess what you have and have an informed conversation about what to do. And even just being willing to step into that conversation is a really big deal. You don't have to get it all figured out in one conversation. I've been in this position many times with Jenny where we're bringing our needs or we want to be seen or validated in whatever's happening, big or small. Sometimes just coming to the table and looking at each other in the eye and saying, this is hard. We both want to figure this out and we don't have an answer right now. And even that can create a connection, a sense of teamwork. Instead of looking at her as the problem, it's both of us looking out at a problem. And sometimes there are things that there will never be an answer for. I'm thinking about how Jenny has dealt with several health issues over the last 10 years, and she doesn't know what's going on, and the symptoms are kind of random, and it impacts her, and it can impact me. And we've had a lot of conversations about what to do. I mean, they're not life-threatening as far as we know, but sometimes we just have to sit together in the suck and hold each other and say, this is hard and we don't have an answer. And it can be difficult to lean into commitment if you're not feeling it from your partner. It's kind of like if you were both gonna lean in for a trust fall at the same time, and you don't know if they're gonna catch you or not, and they don't know if you're gonna catch them. Sometimes the only way to know is to try. And because we're adults, we can recover if we really try to lean in and our partner doesn't catch us. We can do what we need to do to take care of ourselves, but just hanging back and not doing anything about it, not really leaning into the commitment, isn't going to give us any new information, usually. So that's what I have to say about commitment. Hopefully that was helpful. If you want a really powerful way to show you're committed to the work, the relational work, you can reach out to me at www.bricebauer.com. Set up a time to talk about couples coaching, individual coaching, or the men's groups and men's retreats that I run. That's all I got for today. Peace.